Hi guys, it is NorthSide Crew here, and I just want to do a quick review of the Atomic Bent Shetler 120. I guess now it's the Bent 120 with the 2023 model. However, the model that I have here is the 2021 variation of the ski, but all that is different is the top sheet. The top sheet is the only difference with these skis. It remains the same for the 2022 and 2023 variations of this ski. So first things first, this is a 120 millimeter underfoot powder ski. I wouldn't say this is particularly a good ski for anyone that skis out east. When I was looking into this ski, I really was trying to find a dedicated pair of powder skis, and it was really coming out of like this, the Pescado, and kind of Revolt 121, and I was kind of just looking into a bunch of different areas. And I didn't really find a whole lot of longer style reviews on this particular pair of skis, so I figured I would do one on my own here after a couple seasons of skiing on them. So first things first, obviously 120 millimeters underfoot. That being said, this ski, while it is a dedicated powder ski, has got a lot of actual decent on-mountain and on-trail performance, surprisingly enough. If we put these two skis together here, you can see that there is a very decent amount of underfoot camber right here. Let's see, I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up necessarily, however, there is just a lot of camber underfoot there. And really what that does is it kind of allows this ski to get a little more pop, to get a lot more kind of liveliness to it than you might expect from a dedicated 120 millimeter underfoot powder ski, because that is a very, very wide platform. And because of that camber underfoot, the ski is very, very lively on piste. It's decent on groomers. I mean, like, obviously it's gonna be a little bit harder to go edge to edge because of how wide the platform is. But really, you can kind of really lay out some decent carving turns on these things, which is kind of surprising. What I will say though is that anytime that you're going to have a 120 millimeter underfoot ski, you are going to get some chatter on the tips and tails, especially with the amount of rocker that we have on these things. If we put them together here, where you can see that the rocker starts all the way down right about here on the ski, and then obviously lots of tip splay, lots of rocker in these skis, which is obviously exactly what you would like for powder, so no complaints there. It's got some almost symmetrical tail rocker though. I'd say about 25% in the tails here, and then 30% in the tips of just straight rocker, which is going to make it really easy to release the edges, and the edges actually end right about here. From there on out, we move from sidewall down here into full cap construction, and the edges stop with about 10%. Most of the splay here actually doesn't have an edge to it. And instead what we get is what's called Horizon Tech, and it's kind of it's been around for a couple years now, especially since these are the 121 models. Essentially what they do is, it's basically acts like a boat hole. I'm not sure how well you guys are going to be able to see it on camera, but it's basically these beveled tips here and on the tails allow it to kind of act like a boat hole and kind of get up on plane and stay better in some deep powder. I think the next thing that's probably important to mention is I do have these on wow, my tongue stopped working there. I do have these mounted on the factory recommended settings because I personally like a more directional, kind of playful freeride ski. I don't necessarily like having them on a freestyle mount point, and because I did buy the 184, which I'll get to here in just a moment, I felt that it was better for me to put them at factory recommended rather than putting them at more of a freestyle mount point, which you might do for a kind of a free ride powder twin tip here that we've got like this. Additionally, I was going to mention the size. I have them here in a 184. If I was to buy a ski again, I might size up. Honestly, I'm pretty sure the next one up is either 188 or 190, and I wouldn't mind going to that at all. Even on factory recommended, I find it pretty easy to overpower the ski if I'm really trying to charge hard, which is not what these are meant for, so obviously that's partially on my skiing ability, but I think it's important to note that if you're going to mount these in a more freestyle recommended instead of factory recommended setting, I would definitely size up personally, unless you aren't intending to use them only for powder. If you're intending to kind of go as almost use them in the park, don't think I'd ever use a 120 in the park, but you know, if you want to, you could do that. The other thing I wanted to mention about these skis is they are exceptionally light. Even with my Solomon Warden bindings on here, these are exceptionally light, especially for 120 underfoot. If I recall correctly, in the 184, I want to say they're about 1,800 grams, which is very light for a 120 millimeter underfoot powder ski. you could almost put a shift on these and use them kind of as a hybrid inbounds and touring platform, which I actually plan on doing this season. Funnily enough, I plan on using this as my dedicated touring setup for deep days back in Montana and obviously a little bit in Canada. I think the last thing that I probably should mention about these, for those of you that are wondering, because of how early those tips and tails release, like I was talking about earlier in the turn, this is a great ski for having fun in powder. You're going to be able to slash out your turns. You're going to be really able to edge release early in those areas, and it's just a lot of fun. You get a lot of actual like playfulness in the tips and tails. They're pretty pliable in both the tip and the tail. I don't really want to flip this over, but we're going to do it anyways. You can just get a lot of playfulness in both areas with some decent stability underfoot, which just makes it like, it makes it a powder hound's like play tool basically. If you are the type of guy who is a free ride skier who wants a good deep day kind of tool that you can just play with in deep powder, this is a great option. It also obviously combines some of those with the camber underfoot. It makes it decent inbounds. So I think as a resort powder ski, this thing is a hell of a lot of fun. I recommend it to I'd say probably a more of a, honestly, if you're an intermediate to advanced skier that wants a good powder ski you can learn on and kind of like advance on, I think it's awesome. You can also ride this if you're an advanced to expert skier. This is going to be a great tool for you to do all of the things you would love to do in a free ride format in deep snow. And also for maybe a freestyle park skier that's looking for a wider option for those deep days when they find themselves out there in probably Utah or in Hood, for example. And so if you guys are interested in buying the ski, unfortunately, I'm not affiliated with any particular company. But that being said, you can find it on Evo or skiessentials.com. There's tons of places you can find these skis online. Highly recommend them. Check it out. Have a great day. Let's get stoked for winter, boys. Let's go.